How's it going, everybody? It's me, Shane, and I'm here to give you my reaction and review of Moon Knight Episode 1, The Goldfish Effect. Oh, sorry, The Goldfish Phenomena. I forgot to write down the name of the episode. Oh, no, I didn't. The Goldfish Problem is the name of the episode. But regardless of this phenomena, problem, and synopsis, I need you to give me a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to be notified of more videos like this. And please share the video so others can see what a great time we're having with our temporary set here. So, who is Moon Knight? I can't believe I'm even answering and asking that question. And I feel like I've shown my Moon Knight book collection. I did not bring them here because I got some things going on, and I do not want those books getting messed up. But Moon Knight is Mark Spector. He was a mercenary who got hurt, basically died in front of the statue of the moon god Khonshu. Khonshu revived him and made him his avatar, and now he fights justice. Well, fights for justice in the night. He is essentially Marvel's Batman, one of two Marvel's Batman. The other one is Night Thrasher, who is literally Black Batman. Um, Mark Spector, and I had a quote actually here from an actual direct quote from the character when trying to, I guess, envision the type of character he is, because some people say, is he like Punisher or is he like Spider Man? We see him hang out with both of them. He actually has a very, I, it's hard to call it a love hate relationship, but he has a working relationship with Punisher. They pretty much burn each other a lot. So, Moon Knight says, let's establish some parameters. I am not Spider Man and I'm not the Punisher. They represent extreme ends of the same costume spectrum. He is Moon Knight, and all you know is one thing. No one in this room, including himself, knows precisely what he is capable of. He beat the Avengers, so imagine what he can do to one of them, whoever he was speaking to in this comic book panel. So, who was Moon Knight in the MCU, in the show Moon Knight? Well, Moon Knight is still Mark Spector, but he's also Stephen, aka or Stevie Grant. That is his split personality. Moon Knight, especially for the Bendis run. I don't remember if he had this before the Bendis run. I think he did. I think he had. It was touched on a little bit, but the Bendis run kind of expanded. He has multiple personality disorder. As a matter of fact, it's a strange multiple personality disorder because in his mind, he had Spider Man, Captain America, and Wolverine talking to him, and then sooner or later, when Echo had ended up passing, she was in his mind as well, and he was basically talking to these people who weren't actually there. Wasn't necessarily embodying them, but he's had the schizophrenia and the multiple personality disorder. Pardon me, Stephen Grant was one of his aliases, actually, in the comic books. They've done an interesting job here of having Stephen Grant be that split personality. Um, and who is Stephen Grant? Stephen Grant in the show works at the London Museum. All this Egyptian stuff all around him. He actually knows a ton about it. And it's interesting because he's always on the phone talking to his mother, but his mother never seems to pick up. Um, he has or had a one-finned goldfish, and he had a he has this. You feel bad for Steven, right? And I'm stumbling over my words because Steven just a pushover. Like this one, I guess his boss or whatever, she treats him like dirt. The security officers doesn't really listen to him, and his love life is in shambles because he keeps blacking out and waking up and not remembering what the heck has gone on. Matter of fact, he has sand around his bed. He has himself chained up to a pole at his bed, and we see his ins and outs. He doesn't even remember setting up a date with this young lady for Friday. Remember the date Friday, and remember the one finned fish. One day he wakes up, his jaw's dislocated, he's bleeding, he's in some place in the mountains somewhere, no clue where that is. And then he all of a sudden hears a voice saying Spectre, the other one's here. You need to come back. Make sure you don't lose the scarab. He has his golden scarab. He runs into the series villain, Arthur Harrow. I'm gonna let you know, Arthur Harrow, Harro, C to D tier character. Showed up in the old 70s comic books when Moon Knight started getting his own publication, because Moon Knight first showed up in Werewolf by Night. Yes, Moon Knight secures a space in the spookier part of the Marvel Universe. Excuse me. And Arthur Harrow is this just an evil doctor guy who was doing experiments on people. He's genius level intellect, but pretty evil. And actually, this episode starts off with his point of view. His cane has the double-headed crocodile head, and I'll get into that in a minute because I have small trepidations about how they're doing the Egyptian god pantheon in this one. But we see him. He's very odd. He circling around a glass of water that's already spilling about, drinks the water, smashes the glass, and then puts the shards in his sandals, and then walks off. I guess it's to show how strange he is or how weird he is. I don't know if that's ever going to be brought up again. But yes, this guy is weird. He's obviously the evil cult leader who is serving Anut or Amit. Amut or Amit is essentially the Egyptian devourer god. Head of a crocodile, front end of a hippopotamus, hind end of a crocodile. The three man-eating creatures of Egypt. Well, in the traditional pantheon, Amut is basically a guardian of Ma'at, and just eats the hearts of those who have been judged by those scales to not be pure, to be led into the afterworld. Even in the Marvel comics, Amut is not some evil god. It is more or less a guardian Sphinx character that works under Ma'at. And if you have Ma'at's favor, you're gonna have Amut's favor. Amut has actually helped Mark Spector and one of his allies when it comes to their goals and trying to find things out, right? Help defend them. Kind of, I'm guessing that they chose to go this route because, hey, who really knows Moon Knight besides Shane and a bunch of other people who really love Moon Knight? Like, there's a lot of people that love Moon Knight, and I don't know how they're I don't know how they're going to address that one. Um, I'm surprised they didn't go with Set. Set is traditionally seen as like the bad guy god. You know, a lot of times they always go after Anubis, because for some reason in writers or people who come up with stories heads, when you think of a bad evil god, you got to go with the underworld. So Hades and Anubis are on the chopping block because, hey, if it deals with the underworld, it's bad. We're not even going to get into that one, right? But I'm very surprised they went with this other god that's shown in the MCU, shown in the Marvel comics to not be bad, but it's a choice. You got to go somewhere, right? And one of the things we do see when Mark is running about this town, this village that seems to be controlled by the cult leader Arthur Harrow, he has these scales on his arm. We do see it earlier, in the very first opening of this show. And I guess you are judged with the crocodile heads and the scales going up. We see one guy get judged and he is pure, he is good, but an older woman gets judged and it's red and she just dies on the spot. During this scene, and this ties right back into Steven, he's trying to move about, trying not to be seen, and when he's asked to give back the scarab, he's willing to do it, but for some reason, his hand won't open, and his body is moving on its own. As soon as he gets surrounded, he's blacks out again, guys are knocked out. It's an interesting way how they've done this whole thing, because even in the car chase scene, when he had to take someone's cupcake mobile Before he can get shot on one side or the other, passes out. Guy is dead in the back, and the cars on around him. Passes out again. He's driving backwards with the gun still. Uh, but you can hear Khonshu, who's played by F. Murray Abraham, very BAFTA award-winning actor, been around for a while, 82 years old. Very, very good voice for Khonshu. Actually, if you give me a second, I'll pull you. I'm gonna go all the way back, not just his television. I'm gonna tell you about some of the movies he's been in. He has been in Finding Forrester. He was. I'm not gonna mention Mimic. No one really cares about Mimic. Um, Finding Forrester is one of the big ones. There is The Ritz, All the President's Men, the 1976 one. Scarface, Amadeus, The Name of the Rose, classical theater and film actor. Um, oops, I got notes down here as you can see. So Khonshu was talking the whole entire time. Khonshu's even saying to Steven, if actually speaking mostly to Mark, saying, Mark, if he loses that scarab, I'm going to kill the both of you again. Does say again, I believe. Uh, no, I think he just says he's going to kill the both of them, but they are in one body. And what happens again as he's going through this chase scene, he's passing out. He wakes up and he's in his bed. He thinks it's all a dream. He's talking to his fish like he always does. Notices his fish has two fins. Goes to the pet store, tries to figure out why does the fin grow back. She mentioned that when you came here yesterday, I told you blah 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 about the fish. Mind you, Steven is so unhinged. He has his fish in a blender. Says to take it back home. Realizes how late it is, and goes to the steak place they're supposed to have his date. When he calls her, she's like, "Yeah, you left me there 2 days ago." He's like, 2 days ago. He's like, "Friday comes, you know, before Sunday." She's like, "Yeah, it's Sunday. You left me sitting there." He asks a guy what day it is. He knows what day it is. He is supposed to be a vegan, as we are told by his very crappy co-worker boss. And at this point, you see the defeat in his face. You see the tears in his eyes. He just says, "Give me a steak, the best part of the steak." I don't knows nothing about it, but he's like, "You know what? Forget all this." And as he's moving about, trying to figure out how is he miss 4 days of his life, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, you can count Thursday if you want, but how has he missed the whole entire weekend? Starts finding clues. He's noticing things have been moved. Finds a flip phone. Haven't seen a Motorola flip phone in a long time. And ends up seeing the name Layla and seeing Ducamp. These are important names because Layla, we have no clue who Layla is supposed to be. Mark Spector has not been in league with the character named Layla, but here's the thing. When you look up the name Layla in Marvel, there's Layla Miller, who has deep connections with mutants. She's literally the TLDR for her is she comes from the future. She's from I think she's from Bishop's future. She is a mutant. She worked with X Factor, Incorporated, Madrox, Polaris. I don't think Havoc was part of X Factor Incorporated, but Havoc's been part of X Factor. That's Cyclops' brother, Strong Guy, uh, Wolfsbane, those guys. And she's actually had a relationship with Madrox as well. But Layla Miller, big character that's dealing with the X-Men and the mutants. We have no clue if this Layla character that he's talked to, who has been looking for him for a long time, what Layla she might be. That is another part of the mystery. But we also saw the name Ducamp. Ducamp is in the comics his best friend, Mark Spector's best friend. Uh, Worked with him with mercenary gigs all the time. So we're gonna see Ducamp. Don't know when we're gonna see him. His nickname is Frenchie, so should be a French actor playing him possibly. Now, one of the great effects that I like in this show for the episode's supposed to be 47 minutes. I'm pretty sure it was leaning closer to like 42 ish. They went a long time. I was very surprised, but uh, when Mark looks into the mirror, his reflection looking back at him is shaking its head. It's telling him don't go any further. He can hear the voice in his head. Now, Steve, I said Mark. Steve can hear Mark. Here's the problem with Steven. Steven is he's so milk toast. He's so easily to run over. He's so easy to bully. When he finds himself in that situation, Arthur Harrow's, whatever his name is, in his village, cult village, he even tells him, he's like, "Look, my name's Stephen. My name is Stephen. Stephen Grant. This is where I work." He tells you tell the bad guys where you work, even though they recognize you. The bad obviously Mark Spector has come across Arthur before, and he recognized him, but he's trying to tell him where he is, and they eventually find him. As a matter of fact, the cult has infiltrated the museum. A guy that works there is part of the Amut cult. And one of the great things that I give Stephen credit, because when he wakes up screaming on that bus, and everybody just kind of look at him, he sees the bad guy. Once he goes in, he tries to tell this lazy, good-for-nothing security guard, don't let weird people come in. He notices a very portly guy who was on that bus. And of course, when the villain tries to judge him and use the scales on him, he's like, "Oh, he says that you're full of chaos." Because they both can see when the lights flicker, and they both have voices in their head. And Steven knows about the Ennead, which is the nine higher Egyptian gods, but Yemut is not part of the Ennead, I believe. I did not do research on that. That name just suddenly came back to me. So, and mind you, I'm not going part by part telling you everything that's happened. I'm remembering things. I'm telling you the important things as they happen, because one of the greatest things is he goes back to working after he's able to run through when some people come through. After the evil cult guard who works at that museum tries to keep him in there with Arthur and the woman who's supposed to be a visitor. They all have this stupid tattoo. And then we get the scene that doesn't make tons of sense. The cleanup crew's there. He's worked all day into the night. He hears this growling and barking. He's thinking maybe a dog's come in here. And then in the shadows, we do see this Anubis-like creature moving, this jackal-like creature moving around. And then we see the full shadow of it. And as Steven tries to hide, he hears the bad guy saying, "Surrender the scarab, and this thing won't kill you." And unfortunately, he made it. He did a smart thing by throwing his backpack and getting it to attack that, but he ends up making more noise and is running. And he corners himself into a bathroom. And while he's cornered in the bathroom, we get more of that good effect of him talking to himself, or should I say, talking to the other person that shares his body, Mark Spector. Mark Spector, who is more than likely the original owner of the body. My theory is that when Khonshu had bestowed his blessing upon Mark, his mind splintered because of the sheer force of it, and because of him being brought back to life and reborn. And he's talking to him. He's like, "I'm gonna die. This isn't real." And Mark is trying to calm him down, say, "Hey, you gotta let me have control and not fight me on this one." Because it appears that every time he's woken up, it's been because he's been fighting for control over that body. And he says, "Just let me take it, and I'm gonna make sure we don't die." And one of the cool parts is the suit forms over him. If you've seen the trailers, the suit and everything, and the whole white, the suit looks great. As a matter of fact, Moon Knight is such a badass. When the thing gets in there, he's beating its ass. It tries to leave, and he's like, "No, no, 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 no," and finishes the thing off. Pardon me. There was the effect for Khonshu appearing, because it's Khonshu with the long beak. Even though in the comics Khonshu doesn't have that form, doesn't really matter. That part doesn't really matter. When Khonshu appears, because Steven is having all these flashes in his apartment after finally meeting Mark. He doesn't realize that he's trying to go to the bottom floor, he's gone back to the top. Khonshu has been making his way, and he even see Khonshu on the street when he ran into the evil Arthur Harrow. So what's going on? I don't know how hardcore people are going to enjoy this, because it's very apparent. And this is how it feels. I was even saying this while watching the chase scene. You don't get to see the good parts. Like the good part, and when I mean the good parts, I mean you don't get to see the action, the fighting, the shooting. Mark being a badass. We're looking at it from a person who is just as confused as you are, especially if you have not read the books and you don't know this character. Which I'm very excited that Moon Knight has his own series, and I'm very excited that Moon Knight is in the MCU, and I'm happy he's starting this way. The director is also the director from the Umbrella Academy on Netflix. The guy knows how to work. He knows how to do his thing. I don't know how it's gonna be received. Some say that the first episode, people who have been able to see the first four episodes have loved the first episode and were kind of wavering until the fourth. But Moon Knight being introduced into the MCU brings more of the mystical stuff. Now you're probably saying, well, what about Doctor Strange? Magic does not necessarily equal mystical because remember they're taking magic from a you can learn it and it's a different standpoint. This mystical side is more of the spooky side, more of the things will kill you. Now those two worlds can be married together because we have the Midnight Suns, which include Doctor Strange, Moon Knight, Blade, who we heard his voice at the end of Eternals. There's Mobius, who has a Sony movie and he is not in the MCU. There's Elsa Bloodstone. There's Damian Hellstrom. There's Satana Hellstrom. Who else is in the Midnight Suns? There's both Ghost Riders, Danny Ketch, Johnny Blaze. There's Jennifer Kale. There's also a Midnight Suns video game. Was it Real Time Battle Strategy? Which Marvel, I hate it when they do this because these are the people in this game. Not all of them are actual Midnight Suns. Never at any point in time has Captain America, Captain Marvel, Wolverine, or uh, Iron Man have been Midnight Suns. It's more of a spooky thing, and actually, certain characters you can see being in it, like Magic, Ilyana Rasputin, that would make sense. But brand synergy and whatever those type of things always take precedent for whatever reason. But yeah, is there anything else in here I want to talk about? Looks good. Doesn't look cheap at all. The soundtrack kind of threw me off a bit because I didn't know the first two songs, and then I started hearing some songs that I recognize, like Wham's "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go." All the songs deal with falling asleep and passing out and waking up, so I get the theme there. Um, pardon me. Man Thing. I almost forgot about Man Thing. Man Thing and Hannibal King are both in Midnight Suns as well. And Man Thing was supposed to have a movie, but I think it got canceled and turned into like a sci-fi thing. I don't know if Disney Marvel had it at the time, but you can bring back Man Thing. This is a pretty exciting time. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next week because this is a very interesting opener. Not traditional. You don't get to see the hero start off as a kid and grow up and turn into this mercenary. He's actually from Chicago. He was originally Mark Spector is supposed to be Jewish. It's not really highlighted a lot in the comics, but it was mentioned, especially since his father is a Holocaust survivor, evaded all of that stuff. So it's it really this show feels like it is for newer people, and it's to just bring in the folks who like Moon Knight to show you a different take on it. I'm gonna give this first episode a 4 out of 5. I'm only giving it 4 out of 5 because I kind of wanted to see some of the badass fight scenes, but it's it's good. It's not to the moon, but it's pretty good. I Eventually we're going to get more of that, and I do want to see more of Mark talking to Steven so they can figure out how to coexist. It really makes you feel bad for people who have split personalities because if you don't know what's going on in your life, and if one personality is aware of the other personalities and the others are just kind of lost, you feel really bad. You do feel bad for Steven a lot. Um, Here's hoping that they don't mess up Layla if it's Layla Miller. And is there anything else I want to touch on? Get better soundtrack. Yeah, get more of a soundtrack. But please, if you've seen Moon Knight episode 1, let me know what you think of it in the comment section down below. Let me know what you are looking forward to with watching this series. I just it's we've already seen, the promotional pictures and posters. We're gonna get him dressed up as Mr. Knight with just not even a cape and cowl. It's a suit, a mask, and those gloves. Mark Spector is rich. He's not poor, so he like I told you, he's one of Marvel's Batman. So I'm excited. Don't forget to go ahead and leave that like when you go ahead and comment down there. Subscribe if you have not. Hit the notification bell to be notified of more videos like this. Share the video, and I thank you as always for spending some time with me. Please be good, be blessed. Wash your hands, wear a mask, be safe out there. Be good to yourself, be good to others. Either way it goes, do not be a jerk, and I will most definitely see you guys next time.